During a walk deep through the woods at night, this man started hearing strange noises coming from around him. Unsure of what was making the sounds, he began shining his flashlight in different directions, trying to spot anything hidden in the darkness. Then, suddenly, he captured this on camera. A dark figure with a pale face appeared between the trees. The appearance immediately startled him. Was someone standing out there in the woods the entire time watching him, or did he come across something not entirely human? But honestly, with the darkness and absolute potato quality of the footage, I genuinely can't tell what he captured out there that night. I tried looking at it multiple times, and I still can't figure out if that's a person or something else entirely. Can you? A man shared a disturbing story from a school camp he attended deep in the Australian bush during the 1990s. At the time, he was around 9 years old and had brought a disposable camera with him to capture memories from the trip. Throughout the camp, he took random photos of the bush, the trails, and the campsite like many of the other students. And during the walks through the forest, nobody reported seeing anything unusual. Everything seemed completely normal. But after the trip, when the disposable cameras were finally developed, his photos were never returned to him. Later, he was reportedly told that some of the images had captured something disturbing hidden in the background of the bush. According to the story, the images allegedly showed a body hidden somewhere in the forest. His parents reportedly handed the photos over to the police, and afterward, multiple students' film rolls were also recovered. Honestly, what makes the story especially creepy is that nobody had noticed anything unusual during the actual walk through the bush. Facebook user Michael was reviewing footage from a trail camera placed on his property when he saw something that made his heart skip a beat. The camera normally only captured deer and wildlife moving through the area at night. But this time, around 3 a.m., it captured something very different. Standing in the darkness on his property was a man appearing to be armed. According to Michael, he had never seen human activity on the trail camera before, especially not someone out there in the middle of the night. The image immediately unsettled him. Some people believed the man was clearly trespassing and potentially dangerous. Others wondered if it could simply have been someone hunting nearby, or possibly even airsoft activity in the woods. But honestly, if that were the case, wouldn't the camera have captured people out there more often before? So was this actually a dangerous intruder wandering through the property at 3 a.m, or just someone misunderstood in the darkness of the woods? A man in Chile was walking through a wooded area while recording his surroundings when something ahead made him stop completely. In the distance, he noticed what looked like a tall, narrow structure standing between the trees. At first, it seemed like a simple pillar or post, but as he watched it longer, it felt unnatural and out of place. He slowly moved closer. As he approached, the structure suddenly seemed to react, and it disappeared. What remained was empty woodland, with no solid object where it had been seconds earlier. A 20-year-old hiker named Emily Sotelo set out alone on a hiking trip through the White Mountains of New Hampshire, planning to complete multiple mountain peaks in a single day. On Sunday morning in November 2022, she was dropped off at Lafayette Place campground before beginning her hike across Franconia Ridge. Emily planned to hike Mount Lafayette, Haystack, and Flume, a difficult route made even more dangerous by the weather conditions moving into the mountains. When she failed to return at the expected time, her family reported her missing. Search teams were quickly deployed into the area, but conditions on the mountain were already becoming extremely dangerous. Temperatures along the ridge had dropped close to 0 degrees, with powerful winds reaching up to 40 miles per hour and blowing snow, reducing visibility. Despite the harsh conditions, rescuers continued searching through the night. Over the next 2 days, search teams discovered scattered tracks along with pieces of Emily's gear near Lafayette Brook, but there was still no sign of her. Then, on Wednesday, after an intense multi-day search involving ground crews and aerial support, a nightmare became reality. Emily's body was found on the northwest side of Mount Lafayette. Officials never publicly released the exact cause of death. A Facebook user shared a series of photos taken during a paranormal investigation at a graveyard locally known for strange activity and reports of restless spirits. Most of the images captured nothing unusual, just the empty cemetery at night. But in one particular photo, something appeared in the frame that nobody remembered seeing at the time the picture was taken. According to the people there, the area directly in front of the camera had been completely empty. Yet, in the image, a faint, blurred humanoid figure seemed to be forming in front of the gravestones. Some people suggested it could simply be motion blur, camera shake, or light distortion caused by low visibility conditions. But honestly, if that's all it was, then why did it only appear in this one single photo out of the entire set? Others believe the figure closely resembled descriptions of paranormal apparitions, often reported in allegedly haunted locations. I think this trail camera footage is a bit disturbing. A Facebook user shared footage after noticing their neighbor had come onto their property one evening and done something extremely strange. The trail camera captured the neighbor walking onto the land before urinating directly onto a corn pile that had been left out. According to the property owner, this apparently wasn't the first time the neighbor had shown up acting oddly around the area. Eventually, the behavior became concerning enough that authorities were contacted and the man was officially trespassed from the property. What made the situation even stranger was the explanation he reportedly gave afterward. According to the owner, when questioned by a deputy, the neighbor claimed he didn't even know what the corn pile was and said that was somehow the reason for what he did. But honestly, whatever the explanation was, it still leaves one obvious question. Why would anyone do something like that in the first place? A Washington man was hiking down Mount Hood near Timberline Lodge when he stepped slightly off the trail to let other hikers pass. As he moved onto a loose scree slope, it triggered a rockslide that sent a massive boulder rolling downhill. The rock, estimated to weigh around 16,000 pounds, came crashing down and pinned him from the waist down. Despite the impact, he remained conscious and was able to communicate with rescuers when they arrived. Emergency crews quickly hiked in with specialized equipment, including airbags and hydraulic tools, to lift the boulder. It took about an hour for them to carefully stabilize and remove the rock, freeing him from underneath. He was then airlifted to a hospital with injuries, but survived the incident. Facebook user Jordan shared trail camera photos taken after a wildfire swept through a forested area in Nebraska. After the fire finally passed, he returned to check the area and discovered that his trail camera had been almost completely destroyed by the heat. The outer casing was melted and badly damaged. At first, he assumed everything stored on it would be gone. But surprisingly, the SD card inside had survived. When he recovered the footage, it revealed several astonishing images showing the wildfire actively engulfing the forest around the camera. The photos captured just how fast and overwhelming the flames moved through the woods. Wildfires are absolutely devastating, but honestly, seeing the raw power of nature up close like that is truly incredible. In 2023, a woman went into a wooded area searching for her nephew who had gone missing after being discharged from a hospital. He had left to return home, but no one saw him again afterward. As she moved deeper into the forest, she began to feel uneasy, like she was being watched. She stopped and slowly recorded a video, scanning the trees around her. At the time, she thought it was just nerves and considered turning back. But later, when she reviewed the footage at home, she noticed something she hadn't seen at the moment. Between the trees, a humanoid shape appeared for just a second. She still hasn't found her nephew, and the discovery only added to her fear and confusion about what she experienced in those woods. Was it just a trick of light and branches moving together, or did something actually stand there between the trees? So far, no update has been provided. In a photo taken at a remote Texas cemetery sometime during the 1980s, an elderly man stood beside a tombstone while a family photo was being taken. According to the family, the man in the image was the photographer's great-grandfather, and only 3 people were supposed to be there that day. The great-grandfather, the photographer's father, and an uncle standing somewhere out of frame. At first, nothing about the photo seemed unusual, but years later, while looking back through an old family album, someone noticed something disturbing hidden in the corner of the image. Partially visible behind the tombstone appeared to be pink fabric from what looked like a dress. And when I looked closer, I could also make out what appeared to be hands holding some kind of book. But here's where the story gets strange. According to the family, the photo had been taken during the winter, and nobody there that day had been wearing light summer clothing like that. So what exactly was partially hidden behind that tombstone in the photo? Reddit user Kooky Strawberry 966 from Moss Point, Mississippi was sitting outside enjoying the evening when they noticed something unusual across the road on a neighbor's property. They saw a bright white orb of light with their own eyes. It appeared to move in circular patterns around the property, drifting up and down as it moved. They pulled out their phone to record it, but when they reviewed the footage, they claimed the camera picked up something even stranger. A humanoid-shaped figure moving in the same direction and pattern as the light. What they saw didn't seem to match anything obvious in the area. It left them wondering, was it just an optical illusion or something else? Reddit user Apprehensive Cod 391's friend sent them a grainy game camera photo from East Texas, which they later posted online asking what it could be. In the comments, some people suggested it was simply a raccoon caught at a strange angle. Others argued it looked like something much larger or more unusual, asking what kind of cryptids are even said to exist in that area. And I agree. It definitely feels a bit creepier than just a raccoon. Deep in the woods of Chatham County, North Carolina, there is a perfectly round clearing called the Devil's Tramping Ground. Unlike the surrounding forest, the circle reportedly remains barren, with very little able to grow inside of it. For generations, locals have shared strange stories about the area. Some claimed that objects left inside the circle overnight would mysteriously be moved by morning. Others said animals refused to step into the clearing altogether. Over time, the legend became even darker. According to local folklore, the devil himself was said to walk the circle at night, endlessly pacing the same path. But that's not the only strange story connected to the location. Over the years, visitors have reported hearing unexplained noises in the woods surrounding the clearing late at night. Others claim to feel suddenly sick, dizzy, or uneasy after standing inside the circle for too long. There have also been rumors of people performing rituals there after dark, with locals occasionally finding candles, strange symbols, or burned objects left behind in the area. Some even claimed cult activity may have taken place there decades ago, although no confirmed evidence of organized cults was ever officially documented. And honestly, places with legends like this tend to attract people looking to experience something paranormal for themselves. Of course, skeptics believe the entire mystery likely comes down to natural soil conditions, local folklore, and stories that grew larger over time. But because strange experiences continue being reported there, the legend of the Devil's Tramping Ground never really disappeared. A person shared a photo on Facebook taken late at night inside a graveyard deep in the woods of South Carolina, claiming something unusual appeared in the background. At first, the image looked just like a normal nighttime photo of the cemetery, but after looking closer, a faint figure could be seen standing near the headstones, partially blending into the darkness. The shape appeared blurry and distorted, almost as if it had been captured mid-movement. Honestly, low-light photography can create strange effects like motion blur, fog distortion, or odd lighting artifacts, especially in dark environments like this. A man was walking his dogs through the woods when they suddenly picked up a scent and ran off into the trees. At first he didn't think much of it and assumed they were just chasing some small animal. But as he followed behind while recording, he realized something strange. He couldn't actually see anything ahead of the dogs at all. Still, the dogs stayed completely focused on something deeper in the woods. Then, suddenly, something appeared to react to them. At that point, the man became uneasy. He quickly called the dogs back and left the area. Later, he watched the footage back multiple times, trying to figure out what they had been chasing. But he still couldn't clearly tell what was out there in those woods. And honestly, neither could I. So what do you think the dogs saw that day? An Italian artist named Giuseppe Pannone once explored a strange idea. What would happen if a human kept holding a tree for 14 years without ever letting go? To test it, he first pressed his hand against the tree to see how it reacted to constant contact. But since no one could realistically stay in place for years, he later replaced it with a replica hand attached to the trunk. Over time, the tree slowly grew around it. By 2018, the thumb area had been completely covered, leaving the disturbing illusion of a human-shaped arm trapped inside the tree itself. But imagine coming across that on your hike. Kind of unsettling. Someone recorded a video deep in unknown woods showing what appeared to be a giant mushroom standing upright. The structure looked enormous, with a thick stem and a cap-like top that gave it the appearance of a real mushroom. They claimed it could be a petrified mushroom from a distant past, pointing to theories that certain organisms once grew much larger than they do today. About 420 million years ago, long before tall trees existed, Earth's landscape featured colossal fungal-like organisms known as proto-taxites. These ancient structures grew as tall as 24 feet or 8 meters and around 3 feet or 1 meter wide. But finding a petrified mushroom is extremely unlikely because fungal tissue decays so quickly. There have been several mushroom-shaped rock formations found around the world, but like I said, they're most likely just rocks. Unique formations shaped by wind, water, and erosion. A woman living in a secluded wooded area was reviewing footage from a security camera inside her home, pointed through a window toward the yard. Everything appeared normal until this happened. A blurry figure suddenly rushed past. The movement happened so fast that she initially thought she had imagined it, but after watching the clip multiple times, she became convinced that something had actually crossed the camera's view. When the footage was slowed down, the shape appeared vaguely humanoid, although the image remained too blurry to clearly identify. What do you think it was? A man recorded his child's scooty after noticing it was covered in small insects. They were ticks. Huge ticks. He became increasingly disturbed, saying he had never seen so many ticks in one place before, especially not on open ground like this.
Look at this shit.
What is going on with these ticks lately? I'm not the only one freaking out about all this, am I? In Brazil, there are underground tunnel systems that have been linked to extinct Ice Age animals, including the giant ground sloth. These structures are known scientifically as paleo burrows. They are large fossilized tunnels found in parts of South America, especially Brazil, and they date back thousands, possibly millions of years. The walls often show clear stretch marks, which researchers believe were made by the claws of large extinct animals such as ground sloths or possibly armadillo-like creatures. What makes them so fascinating is their size and structure. Some tunnels are wide enough for a human to walk through and extend for many meters underground. Nowadays, walking through those tunnels, it's hard to imagine what monstrous creatures created them all those years ago. A man walking through the woods came across a tree with a strange bulbous growth and a deep hole in its side. He moved closer and started recording.
Oof. Maybe that's the leftover swimmers, I don't know. Damn, this guy's got cut loads coming out
what
of
do
it.
you think it is?
Inside the hollow, a white pulsing mass could be seen, filled with tiny writhing movements that looked alive. It looked like an infestation of parasites or insects deep inside the tree. It could be larvae or insects nesting within the wood, which is common in certain forest ecosystems, but the movement and appearance looked unusual. They posted it online, hoping for answers, so if anyone has an explanation, let us know. A biker shared a short clip showing an odd-looking snail. It appeared to have been taken over by a parasite. People explained that certain parasites are known to manipulate their host's behavior as part of their life cycle. In this case, the goal is to make the snail more visible so it gets eaten by birds, allowing the parasite to continue its development inside the bird's body. A true nature's horror story. A Facebook user was browsing property listings when he came across an old house in Live Oak, California, originally listed for around $39,000. At first, the home just looked old and run down, like many abandoned properties online. But while going through the listing photos, he noticed something unsettling hidden in one of the images. After zooming in, a faint figure appeared to be visible inside the house. The shape looked almost human, with deep dark shadows where the eyes should have been. According to the user, he later contacted the real estate agent asking about the strange image. Not long afterward, the photo was reportedly either removed or altered from the listing. He also claimed that a few other photos from the property appeared to contain similar strange anomalies. Now, old listing photos can absolutely create weird shadows, compression artifacts, and lighting distortions, especially inside abandoned houses. But I'm not gonna lie, the figure in this image does look genuinely unsettling. So was it simply a trick of shadows and image quality, or did something still seem attached to that old property? A person was hiking at an unknown location when they came across this rare-looking insect. You might think this creature is AI generated, but it is actually real, known as the pink wing phasma, a type of stick insect found mainly in Australia. Not necessarily a scary capture, but definitely an intriguing one. Now, for more deep wood encounters, let's continue with this next video.